Hey, read through the word. Today's November 3rd, and today's lesson is called What is Truth? And today we're looking at the trials of Jesus. So, where I'm getting the lesson from is John chapter 18, verse 37 and 38a. It says, Pilate said, "So, you're a king." Jesus responded, "You say that I am king. Actually, I was born and I came into the world to testify to the truth. All who love the truth recognize that what I say is true." And then the question that's been debated forever is how this is said. What is truth? Pilate asked. Okay, so here we are. Holy Week. We are looking at the trials of Jesus. There are 6 trials of Jesus that we're going to talk about today. And what is very interesting is this question, which is what I'm going to base this lesson on and what I want to talk about. Excuse me. They have... How was Pilate saying that? This is one of those things that when we get to heaven, and we have all eternity, I hope God has kept home movies. He's in charge of space and time. They're his creation. If he can show us the record of this, it'd be so interesting to me. It's one of those things I think about all the time. I always be God's home movies of what, he could pull it out and say, well, when Jesus and Pilate were having that, what happened? And it'd just be interesting to me. So we could really see the tone of the conversation. So as Jesus is brought before Pilate, and he's like, "You're a king." Like, well, you say I'm a king, but I am here to testify to the truth. And Pilate's go, is he saying, what is truth? Or what is truth? Or what is truth? How's he asking? We don't have tone. We don't know. So the idea of truth and who Jesus is and what's going on this day is truth is on trial. Jesus himself says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He is the truth. He's come to testify to the truth. Truth is on trial. And ironically, truth is on trial by those who are determined to lie. That's what's going on this day. So this is Thursday, and late Thursday in the middle of the night into Friday on April 2nd/3rd of AD 33. And here we have the 6 trials of Jesus. So I want us to look at these trials. Now, the first trial, and I'm trying to give you a timeline of what we know based on what Scripture tells us happened at certain hours and backing up and looking at everything that happened. So, Jesus is arrested. We're probably sometime after midnight, or we're looking at the Garden of Gethsemane, or Gethsemane. Let's not call it that. At Gethsemane, and then so we've got 3 religious trials or Jewish trials, and you have 3 Roman trials of Jesus that all occur throughout this day, which is the first one is before Annas. This is the hearing before Annas, who is the former high priest. He's not even the current high priest. He's the former Jewish high priest, had been the Jewish high priest for 16 years. And he breaks so many Jewish laws during this, like having something secret in the middle of the night, things he wasn't supposed to do, but he still does them. And result or the consequences of that first trial is Jesus receives his initial physical abuse. And so then he comes back and he's sent before Caiaphas. So which we talked about already, Joseph Caiaphas, who is the current high priest. He's actually the son-in-law of the former high priest, Annas. So he is brought before Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin, who just in that they broke 7 laws trying to convict Jesus. The hearing before them, Jesus is bloodied by abuse, and he's imprisoned at Caiaphas's palace, at the high priest's palace. And then the next trial is the trial before the Sanhedrin. All of these, so the Sanhedrin trial is before all the Jewish elders, including the high priest, the scribes, and the whole Sanhedrin. They decide to ask, that's where they say Jesus blasphemes, they tear their clothes, and they're going to ask Pilate to kill Jesus. All 3 of those trials occur between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. that morning. So I think sometimes when we think about going into that Friday, so we're Thursday into Friday, going into that, I don't know if we think about how quickly all of this is happening. That the march to the cross has been happening for Jesus' entire life has been headed to this. And when you look at everything that occurs in his life, that this last week moves at such a fast pace. But there's so much going on in the days. Like, as you're noticing, we're reading for days, but things are just happening within an hour. And so pay attention to where we are and what's going on. So we've had these first 3 trials. And the Sanhedrin has no legal right to kill Jesus. So they're like, we have to send him to Rome. So next you have the 3 Roman trials of Jesus. And so these start at 6 a.m. that morning of Good Friday, what we know as Good Friday. Friday, the first one is before Pontius Pilate, who declares, I find no guilt in this man. I don't see anything going on, so we're going to send him before. We're going to let Herod deal with him. I don't want to deal with him. We'll let Herod, because Herod is actually over this area, and so we'll let Herod deal with it. So he sends him to Herod, and this is Herod Antipas, who is the son of Herod the Great. Now, Herod the Great, who is the one who tried to kill baby Jesus back with the wise men. That was Herod the Great. This is Herod's son, Herod Antipas, who had jurisdiction over Galilee. And like, Jesus is from Galilee. We'll let Herod deal with him. So Jesus refused to answer any questions to Herod. And that is a whole lesson for another day of why does Jesus talk to Pilate, but he doesn't talk to Herod? Says nothing. But he had that whole conversation about truth with Pilate, but he won't talk to Herod. That's a lesson in itself of what's going on. So, now he comes back before Pilate. So that all of that is before Pilate. So here Jesus is again before Pilate, who he keeps trying to release Jesus. He keeps trying, but the Jewish leaders are like, yes, no, we want him dead, and we want you to kill him. And he's like, but he hadn't done anything wrong. All these things you say he's done, he's not. So he's like, all right, maybe I'll make them happy. We will just torture him till he's almost dead, and we'll see what happens. And so he orders the physical torture and beating of Jesus that we see referenced back in the suffering servant of Isaiah 53. All the things that happened with Jesus that day. They're like, Jews said, that's not enough. That's not enough. And Pilate said, yes, I don't want to meet. Even tries to offer him up for freedom before the people. And they're like, no, kill Jesus. So he makes a sign on the cross that Jesus' crime is being king of the Jews. And he does that probably to avoid trouble with Rome, because Pilate's like, I find no fault in him. He's done nothing wrong. The only thing he's wrong is the Jews don't like that they say he's king. And so we're going to say that he's guilty of being the king of the Jews, because then we can say there's no king but Caesar. And so that's why Jesus is being crucified. So, all of these trials, every single one of them, 6 trials. So by the time we're finished, we're at 8 o'clock in the morning. All of this starts at 4 a.m. So from 4 a.m. until 8 a.m., you have Jesus is shipped around from all of these groups, from trial to trial to trial. So Jesus has 6 trials within that period of time. All these trials look directly, think about this. They look directly into the eyes of truth. Truth itself, Jesus. Truth himself, Jesus. They look into the eyes of truth and claimed the truth to be a lie. And that's what, in order for us all to believe the crazy things we've believed in our lives, we have to at some point say that the truth is a lie. Jesus himself has called himself the truth. So then to say anything he says is not truth is a lie. So you have 6 trials where laws are broken, lies are told, to order to try to get the truth to be a lie. Jesus was true all along. These 6 trials thought that they put Jesus on trial. But the truth judged the lies. Now we're going to look at Romans 1:4. Because the truth was proved. And it says this. I want to back up and read every bit of this. And who has been declared to be the powerful Son of God by the resurrection from the dead, according to the Spirit of holiness. The truth was proved. He claimed to be the Son of God. He rose from the dead. It's true. The truth. The lies tried to judge the truth, but the truth judged the lies, and truth won. And his name is Jesus. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.